Hey there, welcome to the channel. This is Cafenicus, and today's World of Warships video will feature a game in the Belfast, the Tier 7 Premium Royal Navy Light Cruiser. This is a ranked game on the map Fault Line, and I'll be primarily talking about why the Belfast is such a strong ship for low tier ranked like the Bronze League. My team starts south, so I've decided to work the area between the islands at G5. Also, one quick note to all my viewers out there, my schedule over the next couple of months will be rather unpredictable, so I may not be able to put out videos on a weekly basis like I usually do. However, if you have a particular ship you'd like reviewed, please feel free to put a comment below. If I have a ship in port, I'll see what I can do to put a video out on it as quickly as possible. Anyway, what makes the Belfast special in this season's ranked game mode? Well, we'll see some of that in just a moment once I get around the island. You see, the Belfast has an amazing surface concealment of just 8.9 kilometers with captain skills, mod, and camo. Yep, it has better concealment than some tier 3 cruisers, and it can also mount the tier 8 concealment mod at tier 7. And it also comes equipped with an 8.5 kilometer radar. So if you're spotted out in the open, give it a second, then turn on your radar and start smashing any enemy destroyers you see. And if things get hairy, you can also immediately generate your own smokescreen cover and disappear from view. These two consumables, along with the hydroacoustic search, gives the Belfast tremendous advantages against enemy destroyers, and especially in ranked where the caps are located close to each other, a single Belfast can effectively ward off enemy attempts to gain caps. And speaking of advantages against destroyers, the Belfast is also equipped with 12 152mm guns in 4 triple turrets. These have a quick reload of 7.5 seconds, which I believe is the quickest for 152s at tier 7. To compensate though, the Belfast's shells do slightly less damage compared to other light cruisers at this tier, at 3100 AP and 2100 HE maximum damage. And yes, unlike other Royal Navy light cruisers, the Belfast can fire HE shells, so you can switch over to light fires or just shell angle targets. One thing to note though is that the 152mm HE at tier 7 only has the armor penetration equal to 1/6 of its gun caliber, compared to 1/5 for tier 8 and up. This means the Belfast can only penetrate 25mm of armor with its HE. And even with IFHE, you will not reach the 32mm armor threshold. That's a problem in randoms when you're up tiered, but here in ranked, you can use IFEG to very good effect, as the battleships you'll face typically only have 26mm armor plating. The AA is workable for its tier, especially since you'll only be facing tier 6 carriers in ranked. And the Belfast's HP pool of 35.7k is also among the highest for cruisers at its tier, especially light cruisers. You're definitely beating out ships like the Atlanta, the Abruzzi, and the Boise. On the other hand, there are a couple of things you want to watch out for. The Belfast's armor is typical of a light cruiser, meaning it practically doesn't exist. You have 13mm on your extremities and 19mm neck and sides, so HE will eat you up. Heavy cruiser and larger caliber guns will overmatch your extremities, and your citadel sits just above the waterline, so do be careful of exposing your sides. And one more thing to note, while you do have a smoke screen to hide your ship, the smoke is in the end not hard cover, meaning enemies can still shoot into it to wreck you. In addition, while the HP pool is sufficient, you do not have access to the repair party consumable, which is a standard feature on the other Royal Navy cruisers, so be careful not to overextend in the ship, as you will be a priority target for enemies in ranked. And speaking of standard features of Royal Navy cruisers, the Belfast doesn't have torpedoes either, so be sure to avoid those hairy, in-close situations, especially against enemy battleships. Your speed of 32.5 knots is also on the slower end, and your 730-meter turning circle and 9.6 second rudder shift don't do you any favors either. On the bright side though, you still have the improved acceleration typical of the Royal Navy lights, so it helps get your ship moving from a standstill or to dodge shells. So what have we done so far in this game? Well, we scared the hideout away from B at the get-go, though I had forgotten that I loaded AP in my previous game and wasted my first salvo. We also helped our team to take out the Surrey that unwisely charged into the middle. Not sure what the plan was there, but definitely do stay safe in your cruisers and rank, as you are there for damage support, and getting killed early on puts a lot of
Smokescreen
pressure on
set.
your team. Being in my position also blocks off the A cap for the enemy destroyer, as I can extend my radar across the entire cap. I'm also alternating smoke screens with my Fiji buddy that you see behind me, so that we can extend our concealed Daka time as much as possible. We actually did this without any prior communication, and it's always nice to see spontaneous team play happen. Unfortunately, this island is also making it difficult for me to support our Scharnhorst. I can only get shots out with my rear turrets, and it's just not enough to take out that enemy Gneiss now, even with the fire that I get at the end here. Of course, I can't back up any further as I've exited my smoke screen and the enemy Nagato has me in his sights. So it's time to put that improved acceleration to good use and avoid incoming shells. I do take a bit of damage of course, but my change of direction has helped to throw off some of the incoming
Fire.
fire. And once I'm back into my smoke screen and clear of any additional enemy shells, I immediately put out the fire. You typically don't want to do that with just one fire, but I was trying to conserve my HP as much as I could due to my lack of the repair party. We also get a bit of a payback on the enemy Nagato, as my second salvo lights him on fire. The Nagato disappears, but the enemy Molotov shows up instead. We switch targets and get a fire on the Molotov as well. And that's really lucky. The 9% chance to cause fires on the Belfast is pathetic compared to other 152mm gun cruisers at this tier, which typically get about 12%. The Molotov immediately puts it out and breaks contact, but at least we got some nice juicy damage on the battleship before he also put out the fire. At this point in the game, we've stalled A long enough for our Mars to pick up B and join Organizer now at C. As long as we hold, this game should be in the bag. And if the enemy Haida tries to get back into the A-cap, we can always radar him and take him out. I'm also turning my ship around and repositioning a bit, as I want to be able to respond when the enemy team inevitably starts to push A in desperation. You can see our Fiji buddy has put up his smoke screen, so we'll take advantage of that to focus down the Boise, who's trying to get forward for his team. That Boise isn't going to last very long though, with two cruisers and a battleship shooting at him. And so we put the Belfast HE shells and DPM to good use here to start taking chunks out of the enemy cruiser, at least until the Haida shows up. Well, always focus down destroyers first, and at 9 kilometers the Belfast guns are accurate enough to take him out for our first kill of the game. The destroyer threat now over, we go back to shooting at the Boise. Boise is turning and starts to give me enough of a broadside, so I switch to AP. The AP on this ship works well enough against broadside targets, especially lightly armored cruisers, and you can reliably citadel them. I don't actually get a citadel in this case, of course, but we do enough to deal with that Boise for our second
Enemy
kill.
cruiser sunk.
Unfortunately, our
Torpedoes
Nagato
deployed.
has gotten sunk, but we took out two ships in the process to give us the ship advantage. And now that the enemy destroyer is gone, I can also put my superior concealment to good use and start to push up. Our Fiji also asks if I have a smokescreen available, and I let him know in chat that I do. Again, I think this communication and collaboration is what ranked battles really should be like, rather than the negativity and shaming and blaming that we often get to see instead. Anyway, I spot the enemy Nagato as soon as I break cover of smoke, and my Fiji starts gunning him down.
Smoke
I
generator
also
activated.
activate my smoke screen to keep the Fiji covered and slow down so that I can
Acknowledged.
keep the Nagato lit while I'm preparing to unmask my guns. I was hoping that the Nagato would fire and cause his concealment to bloom, but unfortunately he didn't, and I didn't want to risk being the bait by
Smokescreen
firing
set.
out of cover, as he overmatches me, and at 10 kilometers, he could certainly sink me outright with just a few citadels. Instead, I fire at the Molotov who gets lit, but he immediately turns away, and we miss. But that's okay, as our Mas is back and has the Nagato lit for us. So now, it's time for the cruisers to bring their DPM to play. The Fiji and I are making a mess of the Nagato's superstructure, and I'm also getting some fires on him. I'm also making sure that I move around in my smoke screen. Remember, smoke isn't hard cover, and you don't want to sit still as enemy ships can still put shells into your smoke screen and wreck your face. We get another fire on the Nagato, though I can see that his turrets are pointing in my direction, so he's probably thinking of blind firing me. I start to back up to hopefully make it difficult for the Nagato to pin me down. In this particular case, though, maybe I should have tried sitting still instead, as the Nagato gets a nice salvo on me even while I'm moving about. That was definitely a citadel and probably a couple of overpins. But the Nagato is merrily burning away while we farm up some defender points. And with that last salvo, we finally take out the enemy battleship for our third kill and the high caliber achievement. So, all that's left is a near dead Molotov and a full health Colorado. Yep, his team is probably saying some impolite things to him right now, because it's ranked after all. But in my case, all I see is more damage to farm, so we start taking shots at that battleship next. Unfortunately, he's moving behind the island, so I won't be able to fire at him for much longer. I push up while firing over the island as best I can, and we get lucky with the fire. I check on the enemy Molotov, who is somehow still alive. Oh, wait, never mind, the Molotov gets taken out, and so it's just the Colorado left. My fire is still merrily burning on that enemy battleship, but the island is now blocking my shells. I initially keep heading north to try to chase him down, but then I change my mind when I finally realize that he'll most likely turn south around the island at E3. So I start to change my course and begin to push into the A cap instead. In this way, I'll be able to put some shells into the Colorado when he clears the other side of the island. And along the way, I can also pick up a few base capture points for some additional XP. The Colorado does turn towards the south as expected, so I start to angle my ship in order to get my guns to bear ahead of time. The Belfast's turrets do turn rather slowly for a light cruiser. Our Mas is also charging forward, and he may be going for a YOLO torp rush around the island, so I want to try to get as much damage as possible before that final brown alert moment happens. My guns are slowly turning around now that we're angled correctly, and we do help to pick up A for our team. I start to slow down here and pop my smoke screen for cover, which should allow me to Daka in peace for the final few seconds in this game. There's the enemy Colorado. She'll be coming round the island when she comes. We take aim and let loose with everything we've got. I guess I could fire AP here, but I was lazy and stuck to HE. We get the Confederate achievement here as well, and we also get another fire, but unfortunately he immediately puts it out. Well, Almas's torpedoes look to be on point, so looks like they're going to finish off the final enemy ship to end the game. So, let's take a look at the post-game results. We only did 105,000 damage in this game, but that's decent considering it's low tier ranked. For our efforts, we received the high caliber and Confederate achievements. Our base XP was 2163, which was top of our team. And also a shout out to our Fiji as well for that bit of spontaneous cooperation and smoke cycling. We hit every single enemy ship and sunk 3. The majority of our damage came from HE, with a bunch of fires thrown in too. And since the Belfast is a premium ship, we also get a nice chunk of change out of this game, with over 400,000 credits received prior to any modifiers. Anyway, for anyone interested, here are the equipment and captain skills I use for the ship. Main armaments mod 1, engine room protection, smoke generator, rudder shift, and concealment. To be honest though, you should probably go with surveillance radar in slot 2 if you have it. And for slot 3, go for main battery mod 2 to make up for the slow turret traverse or aiming systems, as I think that they would be a more effective loadout. For captain skills, I have gun feeder, priority target, consumable enhancement, superintendent, survivability expert, adrenaline rush, and concealment expertise on Andrew Cunningham, who is also my Albemarle commander. I'm too cheap to respec, so I don't have IFHE on my captain, even though it would be extremely effective against enemy battleships at equal or lower tiers. But if you do get a captain with IFHE specifically for ranked, you'll be making life a living nightmare for the enemy battleships that you'll face. Otherwise, the Belfast feels like a good fit to train up your Royal Navy heavy cruiser captains, since you don't really need IFHE on the ship for regular random games, especially if you're up tiered a lot. So, the Belfast in a nutshell. I like it. It's a decent ship in randoms, but really shines in Tier 7 ranked battles where you can get results like this. Simply put yourself in a position to radar the caps and wait in ambush for any enemy destroyers pushing into it. Once you've helped your team neutralize those pesky little boats, the game is already half won. Just be careful not to overextend yourself while doing so. When playing the ship, you should keep in mind three things. 1. You are a priority target for the enemy team. 2. Big guns will hurt you. Actually, all guns will hurt you given your lack of armor. And 3. You have no way to recover your HP pool. A dead Belfast is no good to your team. So be like John Travolta and stay alive. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe and like buttons below as it helps me grow the channel. And also, no guarantees, but I'll try to put out videos as best I can over the next couple of months given my wonky schedule. And if there is a ship you really want reviewed, simply leave a comment below, and if I have it in port, I'll see what I can do. Thank you for watching, and take care.